dojo.live, the place where top minds in travel and hospitality check in to share insights and breakthroughs shaping the industry. Brought to you by Ancora, your trusted partner for AI, cloud, and data-driven innovation. Enjoy your stay. Hello and welcome to Ancora's Dojo Live, where we have candid conversations with industry leaders tackling the biggest technology challenges in travel and hospitality. My name is Kim Mantis, and I'm thrilled to be kicking off our first episode of the year with our brand new series, Unlocking Revenue Insights from Hospitality's RMS Leaders. Hello. And of course, I'm not doing this alone. Joining me today as co-host is America Guerrero. America, hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here, Kim, kicking off this series with you. It's great.
Absolutely. And today's episode is a Revenue Reimagined, 5 predictions shaping hospitality in 2025. We're going to be exploring how RMS innovation is redefining guest experiences, ancillary revenue, and AI-driven decision-making. To guide us through these predictions, we're excited to welcome Olga Tolle-Rodrigues, who is the Director of Global Alliances at Ideas. Olga, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you here.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, America. I'm super excited to be here and kicking off the series for you guys. That's really awesome. Really honored to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Because, it's going to be a great series because over the next 3 weeks, we're going to be joined by experts like you from leading revenue and revenue management system companies. You're going to be sharing your insights on how revenue solutions are evolving. And of course, how and why and revenue managers and hoteliers can kind of benefit from this, looking for, I guess, smarter and more data-driven decisions. But before we get started on that, Olga, if you could tell us a bit about your background and, of course, ideas, what you're focused on in solving in hospitality today. Thank you.
Happy to. So I am Olga Tolle-Rodrigues. I've been with Ideas for the last 8 years, and I manage the ecosystem, all of our partner and technology partner companies where we have relationships and we are aiming to grow our business together, obviously, but really enhancing and developing the technology ecosystem. So really happy to be here and speak a bit more about how revenue management can make a difference for hoteliers. I started 8 years ago with Ideas, and I was not in the hospitality industry. This was brand new for me, and I've had a great time over the last 8 years. I love this industry. I love the passion in the industry, and then the drive to always do something better for our guests. So very excited to be sharing a bit more today. From Ideas' point of view, Ideas has been the leader in revenue management for the last 35 plus years. And I would say that over the last 35 plus years, we're continually innovated and bringing something new, so that way hotels can increase their revenue and profitability. And as we continue to innovate, I think for us today, it's really about providing all of the tools that the commercial leaders need to continually drive total revenue and profitability across all departments of the hotels and for hoteliers.
I love it. We're talking about 5 predictions that Ideas has come out with for 2025. Before we dive into the specifics of those predictions, I'm curious as to how you and your team went about identifying these trends, and if there were any kind of surprises along the way.
Great question. We did do something different this year. So, we are an industry, a company that we like to have conversations with clients, with partners, with industry leaders to always stay in the forefront of innovation and what's happening in the industry. But this year, instead of just using our insights, we wanted to interview clients and partners to get their perspective on what they are seeing, the changes, the innovations, what we should be paying attention to for 2025. And so we interviewed a lot of people, and then we compiled it all in the white paper that is available for everybody to look at. Are there surprises? Yes, there were surprises, because this is kind of why we wanted to do the interviews, wanted to go beyond our own insights. So we did, and there's a lot of surprise that we got in terms of the themes. one of the ones for me that was really a surprise, and funny enough, I've actually heard in the industry events already this year, is
Mhm.
really the generational shift, the demographics. The travelers are traveling, but do we understand why they're traveling and how do we
Mm.
segment those different travelers? And that's really a lot of surprises in those data points.
Absolutely. And that was actually the prediction number one. You made this amazing segue for me. Thank you.
Perfect.
That first prediction that come up in the white paper is that hoteliers need to get serious about generational shifts. That guest demographics are evolving fast. And so I guess that's the question from a revenue perspective. How are hotels adapting? Where are you seeing the biggest opportunities?
hmm Yeah, and let me first clarify because we think about generational shifts, demographics, we think about age.
Mm,
And it's not just about age. It's really about the travel experiences, the travel intent, the travel behaviors that we're seeing. And it's not just age. And it's important, I think, for hotels to really look at the data that they have and then look at the different groups and what is their motivation in traveling. I was attending an event earlier this year, and I was very surprised because there was some data that was presented by some of the OTAs, and they were saying, "Hey, it's not just about boomers wanting this or
mm,
Gen Z
mm.
wanting that." They provided some statistics that were interesting. Like 23% of boomers wanted an adventure. They wanted a unique experience. Exactly. You don't think about that. And then they
No.
Right, I was like, wow, that's very different, right? So it's a group of people that it's not just the age, is why are they traveling? What are they looking for? And then there was the other piece about Gen Zs, and they were saying a lot of Gen Zs, like 70% of them, are traveling to meet new people. It's like
Mm,
their dating app. So if you know that, then how can hotels think about why are they coming in traveling? Can we customize, right, the experience they're providing them to really fit their what they're looking for? It could be
mhm,
you have multi-generationals, parents and their kids, they want to relax, right? So if you understand that, then you can look for an experience that is going to match that piece. And therefore, by doing that, you can actually increase, the revenue streams that you're providing to your guests. So that's some of the things that we find that were very, very interesting in terms of customizing a little bit the experience that hotels are providing and understanding the behavior of the guests coming into the hotels.
mhm. And is this something that they're doing a hotel should do holistically? Like look at every generation and figure out where you can do touch points in different ways? Or is it something where they should sort of pick a lane and be like, this is going to be our focus?
Gina, I think that's where we often say, look at the data, right? Look at the
Mm,
data that you have. Can you see what are the guests, the profiles of the guests coming to your hotel? And then are you identifying wins, right? Things that the hotel are coming for, and therefore you know that actually most of the guests, because you have a spa, they actually are coming for a getaway, and therefore
mm,
actually providing them, some spa experiences, promoting that, putting that in front of the guests will actually make a difference. So it is, you can change all of it, but I don't think so. I think sometimes, starting with where you saying wins and can you actually, continue to do that, or maybe gaps that you can have in your offering that are not being utilized, and how can you promote those?
exactly. Which kind of overlaps into our prediction number two, right, Ame?
Exactly. I was thinking, so now that you know the experience, how do you allow them to book those experiences? I'm I'm saying the rise of experimental travel will fill new opportunities. It's not just about offering unique experiences, but making them easy to book, right? So
Absolutely.
how can
Find and book. Yeah.
Find
exactly
them.
how can
Absolutely.
hotels use technology to connect guests with the right experiences before they arrive and turn that into revenue?
Yes, absolutely, right. I think someone has said, today it's you want to experience it become even an amenity, right? The
Mm,
amenity that you want to buy, and really you want to buy them very easily. If we're thinking about how we shop today, if you go to Amazon, you have everything there, and you can buy everything, as you choose, and suggestions are being brought to your attention. So that way, if you buy this, you can also buy something that complements your purchase. And I think it's the same for hotels. We we've used to be looking at, maybe I want a pool, maybe I want a free breakfast. But I think as long as hotels, when you are booking a room, and we're seeing that more and more, and there's some technologies out there that allow you to do that already. But as you're booking your room, if you can also purchase not just maybe the transfer from the airport to your hotel, but if you can also buy maybe, a local wine tasting experience that you didn't have, if you can buy your spa treatment, if you can buy maybe a concert, right, a ticket for a concert that is very local, if you have that while you're booking your room and right away you're thinking about all of the things you can buy, I think those are the things that we want to make easier for any guest coming and booking with the hotel on their app, on their website, to actually increase, right, the revenue streams that they can actually generate through a particular guest. So that, I think, is really the key moving forward in having the technology that make it really easy for guests to book extra experiences while they're booking their room.
Absolutely. And I mean, I see how this all sort of flows together, right? We're talking about, the generational side and what can be expected. And I think you made a really good point. It's not just about age, but then that flows into the experiential side, what we're looking to do. And then, what experience means, it means a renewed focus on ancillary revenue, which is the prediction number 3 that came out in your white paper. And I think what I understood a lot of behind this was this idea that the price lever has been maxed out, right? Like, is RevPAR and what's happening in the industry? Are we going to be able to charge more for rooms or not, or is that kind of hit the top of the bar? And then now we need to be more creative and focusing on total revenue. And I think there was even a term that came out in your white paper, something about total revenue per square meter or something, not just per room.
Yes. Yes. No, you're right. Absolutely. It's becoming really important that, we've had dynamic revenue, dynamic pricing for a long time, right? And we've optimized the rooms, and you can still, get some pricing there in some of the markets, but really, why limit yourself to just the rooms? Why not expand, right, to outside of the room and start to really look at the meeting spaces, the F&B, any spa treatment, all of those offerings that you have in your hotel, and maximizing those. So I think that's becoming very important. So you're right, because we are looking at meeting space, right, and all of the space that is available within a hotel, then we could look at, right, the revenue, maximize the revenue per square footage, right? That would be an area that we could look at, a new metric to actually start to measure how you're doing in generating more revenue out of all of the spaces that are available and you can book. So that's really becoming very important, that we move beyond RevPAR to actually look at all of the opportunities and revenue streams that are out there, and therefore a new metric. So that's, I think, really, really important. The other things that we're looking for us is, in order to make that a reality, you also need to have the teams work together, right? So whether it's a marketing team, whether it's the sales team, all of those teams to start to look and collaborate and work together, so that way we can start to maximize all of those revenue streams. And then the other piece that always for us is the technology. You need to have technology that talk to each other, so that way you understand how can you cross-sell, how can you upsell on a particular guest, how can you, because a guest is coming and has a wellness package, you can offer a spa treatment, right? So the technologies need to talk to each other to really have a full view of your guest, and therefore be able to then maximize the opportunities and the offerings that you can provide them as well.
That's
Right.
that's a very good point. Moving beyond room revenue sounds great, but for hotels just starting, that they don't have that much collaboration, I guess, between those teams, where is the best place to begin without overwhelming those teams, just for those starters?
Yeah, it's tough, right? You don't want to change everything in your revenue strategy. So we tend to think about starting with the low-hanging fruit. Again, use your data. Look at the data that you have. See, what are you selling well? Can you promote more? Can you go to a market segment maybe that, that offering would be critical for them? So those are really important things. Is your meeting space being utilized? Can you promote it a little bit differently? Do you have a new experience, right? A new unique experience in your neighborhood? We're seeing that more and more guests want something authentic. They are choosing hotels because they are in a particular neighborhood, and that neighborhood is important to the guests. So if there is a unique experience, then maybe put that forward, do a promotion. So start with something maybe small, something that either is working well or maybe something that has been underutilized, and then get some wins. And as you get wins, then start to change and then incorporate other revenue streams into your strategy. That's probably the way to start for hotels, so that way you don't change everything and you can actually have bite sizes that still make a difference in your revenue.
Yeah, I
growth.
like that. And just looking at the data and then also being creative, right? I think one of the things that came out, and I think you've touched on this a little bit here today in our conversation, is like the meeting spaces or your services, maybe renting them by the hour, by the day, by the month. And I think even tapping into the locals, right? Not just the tourists. Like there's a hotel that I got to motel rather that I got to visit in Tucson that I loved because their pool area was really cool. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, they actually had it open those nights to just the locals to come, and they only sell local wine, local beer. And it was just really kind of off, not off the grid, but something fun to do on the regular, and not even having to tap into that market that's changing, but the people who are right where you are. I thought it was super creative.
That's really true. I encountered a company actually last year that was saying that in terms of the amenities that hotels have, especially spa, that actually most of the people are local people coming to use them. To your point, right? That they actually and they have actually a technology to market to the local people to come to the hotel to use actually the amenities and not just rely on a guest that is coming for one night, that comes for business, that doesn't have the time to use it. But absolutely all of that are
Exactly.
opportunities that you can capitalize on to really grow your
And then
revenue.
at that particular place, I remember it wasn't just the evenings. I walked in the morning to go start my day out, me as the guest, away from the hotel. I'm not giving them anything right now. But as I was coming in, a woman who was local lent me a pen of all things because she uses their space as a co-working. Like, I just come here, pay $20, use the internet, sit by the pool, and have
What
an
a great,
amazing day.
what a great environment, right? It's great.
Right? Exactly. So we're talking about the renewed focus on other ancillary revenue, not just RevPAR, but looking at our total available square meter revenue. I think that's amazing. Let's talk about this prediction number 4 that came up. And this was a big one from 2024 and probably even before then too. But AI is going to be keeping its foothold in hospitality. So the question is, where do you see AI making the biggest impact? And for those who might be hesitant to hand over too much control, how do you see us striking a balance between automation and human decision making? Creative things like let's rent out the
Absolutely.
pool area for coworkers.
Absolutely. AI has been the talk for the last 2 years. So I agree. I think it will continue to be the talk for this year and maybe even next year. We see AI making a difference in 2 areas. I think it's personalization as well as efficiencies. um, AI can digest so many data points that we have, so much volume of data, and to use AI to understand your guests, their behavior, what they would be interested in, I think is really going to make a difference. We're seeing more and more of companies, for personalizations of the guests to be able to offer them what they want. If you had a guest coming and you could, suggest a restaurant based on, let's say, their reviews, past reviews, that could make a difference for them, right? They would feel like, oh, this is great. I'm actually valued by this hotel. They know me. And yes, that's a restaurant I would want to go to. So, but all of that data is really hard for us to digest, but using AI to really take a volume of data and then digest it and provide insights that will make a difference for the guests, I think is definitely an area where AI can make a difference. The other area is efficiencies. If we can use AI to remove manual tasks, so that way we empower our people to really do high touch, have a higher touch, right, with their guests, to really empower them to be creative. We're just talking about being creative, right? Instead of doing manual tasks, let's give you time to be creative, to enhance the connection we can have with the guests. And I think that's where AI as well can make a big difference. If instead of spending time at the check-in or, scheduling your housekeeping, you spend time really welcoming the guests, we can see a lot of changes with AI and really making a difference, not so much in replacing people, but really empowering them, giving them more time, more tools to really make a difference and increase the value and the experience that we're providing to our guests.
Little time to toot your own horn here at Ideas. How are you utilizing these technologies in your systems?
So for AI, so we've used AI since almost our inception, right? Because we do. I've heard a new terminology actually even last week. In our world, we use mathematical AI. So we've used AI in terms of how we predict the forecast and the pricing. So we call it mathematical AI. So we've used that, because our engine really uses a lot in terms of getting a lot of data from demand, from data sources, from the concept, a lot of data that we use, and then we're able to predict the forecast very accurately and pricing. So that's an area where we've used AI since we've been created. But we're also using a bit more of AI, like generative AI, for instance. In one of our systems, we explain to our users, why do we set pricing at this level, right? We look at the concept, the pricing, the market, but we also translate that into words, not just numbers, but also into words, so that way our users can very simply use the words generated and then by AI, right, from our system, and use that to actually explain to their teams why it's pricing or, at that particular level. So making it easier for our users to use our tools and bring collaboration within the hotels and the other departments. So that's,
I love it. That really is striking the balance between the automation and the human decision making, and then they can be like, that makes sense. I didn't think about it from that. Or like, no, we're not doing that.
No, absolutely. We have a triangle for us. It's always the system, the processes, and the people, right? And all of those need to work in tandem to maximize, right, revenue and profitability for the hotel. So absolutely right. We need to provide all of those tools for the human to be able to think and make the decisions and the strategy that will make the difference for the hotels.
Interesting, that triangle diagram that you just explained. So we're talking about data, personalization, digesting that data, but now where that data is, that space, and I'm talking about the cloud, and this is the fifth prediction, right? Cloud adoption has been a long time coming in hospitality. So how can hotels avoid a fragmented tech stack and instead of building a unified revenue driving ecosystem?
Yeah. Where does it live?
That's my world. That's my world, right? Ecosystems, working with a lot of our technology partners to really build integrations, connections. So, I'm excited, so excited that the cloud is with us. And definitely, I think like you, that there is like a tipping point. Having all of our systems in clouds allows for easier connections, easier integrations, for the system to be talking to each other. And we can't really continue to drive the industry forward unless we have all of those systems talking to each other. Otherwise, we're not seeing, right, the opportunities. If, one system can see the guest, but then the other system has no idea about what the guest is coming, and those two systems are not talking, we're not maximizing, right, the revenue and the opportunities for the hotel. So for me, that's really the key element, moving to the cloud and then looking for the system that truly are seamlessly integrated to each other, that truly through the APIs and open APIs are able to really talk, connect, and really surface all of those opportunities for the hotels. That's really critical. And I can tell you, because that's my day in, day out. This is what we see, this is what we preach, and this is what we want to move forward.
So you think that's the cloud? It's the cloud that's really going to make the adage of a rising tide lifts all ships true.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And all right.
Yeah,
all right.
Love that.
I love it. So here we are at the final few minutes of our show today, if you can believe it or not. And I wanted to mention that the white paper that Ideas produced was amazing. You can get that on the landing page here, link it over. But what really stood out to me was a quote that said something to the effect of total revenue and profit optimization may feel like a lofty goal, but it's worth pursuing even in phases. So going back to the how do you eat an elephant, one bite out of a time adage. And we touched on this a little bit already today, but what's one change that you think revenue leaders should start making today to stay ahead in 2025 and beyond? Or if you want to talk to your partners too.
Well, you can tell the partners, but do you know, we've talked about data, but I think for me, for the revenue leaders and the commercial leaders, one of the big differences is to break down the silos between departments. If you really break down and you have marketing talking to sales, talking to operations, talking to housekeeping, and have the collaboration and using the data available to all of those departments, I think this is where we're going to see a big difference for all the commercial leaders, the teams, and the hotels.
I love it. Thank you. Well, that is a wrap of today's episode on Dojo Live. A big thank you to you, Olga, for sharing what can be expected in 2025. Before we go, if our audience wants to learn more about Ideas or connect with you directly, what might be the best way to do that?
My LinkedIn, just connect me on LinkedIn. It's open. Happy to chat anyone that has some questions or want to share some trends for 2025.
I love it. I love it. Fantastic. Also, thank you, America, for joining me today. And a big thank you to our sponsor, Ancora, for making these conversations possible. Ancora partners with leading travel and hospitality companies to accelerate innovation through world-class engineering solutions. So if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow us as well at dojo.live for more insights from industry leaders. And you can also catch our past episodes on our website and on social media as well. And the news of upcoming discussions. Speaking of upcoming discussions, we're going to be speaking tomorrow, Wednesday, February 19th, also at 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific, with Alan Young of Infor. He's going to be diving into how AI-powered data engagement is transforming revenue management from a technical skill to a universal language, really kind of in line with what we were just talking about, breaking down those silos. So until then, stay curious, stay innovative, and bye for now. Thank you, everyone.